The history of worldly power is written in the debris of grand monuments that were intended to be eternal. Even the most massive achievements of ancient engineering eventually surrender to the desert. The stones of the Great Pyramid and the face of the Sphinx are slowly worn away by the very environment they once dominated. No civilization is immune to this cycle of decay. The hollowed-out arches of the Roman Colosseum stand as a physical record of an authority that has been absent for centuries. At Persepolis, isolated columns mark the site where a global empire once centralized its wealth. Now there is only silence and the relentless passage of Kala, time, the one conqueror that cannot be outspent or outfought. If every fortress and palace inevitably returns to the soil, we are left to ask what, if anything, actually survives the destruction of its builders. 2,000 years ago, the architect of ancient India's largest empire built his state on the belief that its physical form was entirely fleeting. Chanakya taught that wealth, vitality, and even the body are temporary. In his doctrine, he argued that in a world bounded by death, only Dharma, the moral and cosmic law, is everlasting. This creates a unique tension in the Mauryan state. The man who ruthlessly engineered a continental empire was the same man who believed physical power was a distraction from what truly mattered. At the height of the empire's expansion, Chandragupta Maurya demonstrated how deeply his mentor's philosophy had taken root. According to Jaina tradition, Chandragupta chose to walk away from unmatched worldly power. He abdicated the throne, handing the administration to his son, Bindusara, and adopted the life of an ascetic. He ended his life in the south of India at Shravanabelagola, engaging in the Jaina practice of regulated slow starvation. He sought a spiritual liberation that no throne could provide. For the man who unified the subcontinent, the ultimate conquest was not territory, but the detachment from it. This internal conflict between conquest and conscience reached a breaking point 2 generations later. Chandragupta's grandson, Ashoka, invaded Kalinga, resulting in the death of 100,000 people and the capture of 150,000 more. The human cost of the campaign triggered a profound remorse in the king. He abandoned military expansion entirely, pivoting the state's resources toward a radical moral transformation. To institutionalize this change, Ashoka carved his new policy of Dhamma directly into stone monuments. He used Brahmi script to engrave these moral principles into pillars across his domain, ensuring the message outlived his own moifs. Ashoka realized that an empire held together by moral principle had a chance of enduring long after the swords that built it had rusted away. Despite these philosophical foundations, the physical Mauryan state did not survive the decades following Ashoka's death. Its bureaucracy was a centralized network drawing all authority toward a single point, the king, relying on personal loyalty over civic institutions. When this central authority was removed, outer provinces broke away. Unable to sustain economic pressure, the empire's connecting lines simply snapped. The physical machinery of the state proved fragile. It succumbed to the predictable pressures of time, fulfilling the very cycle of decay Chanakya had described. But the fall of the state did not mean the end of the teacher. While the Mauryan infrastructure decayed, Chanakya's intellectual framework survived entirely intact. He had argued that true, indestructible wealth is found in self-discipline and knowledge, assets that no economic pressure could debase. Chanakya's code sought to move the primary allegiance of the people away from the Raja, the individual political state, and toward the Rashtra. By defining the nation as a shared cultural and moral identity, he created a legacy that did not depend on a single throne. By embedding these values into the philosophy of the culture rather than its laws, Chanakya designed a framework capable of outliving the empire he built. The historical trail of the man himself eventually vanishes. The precise details of Chanakya's death are lost to time, obscured by myth and competing legends. There is no tomb to visit, and no physical monument marks his end. This physical disappearance is the final realization of his philosophy. The mortal man vanished so that the idea of Chanakya could become immortal. Today, the ancient power of the Mauryan capital is buried beneath the modern city of Patna. The halls where Chanakya once advised kings are now nothing but dust. The crowns of the monarchs became dust, their palaces turned to ruins, and their armies faded into forgotten names. But the words written on these pages survived. passed from hand to hand across 2 millennia, outlasting the very stones of the empire. Whenever a leader chooses wisdom over pride or discipline over desire, the voice of Chanakya speaks again. It is proof that while all kings must eventually die, true wisdom is immortal.